You're listening to Real Talk Texas on 570 KLIF News and Information. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert Steve Hakes.
Welcome back. Today in the studio, we've got Phil Loesch of Make Ready Specialists. We've got Murphy Dykes of Peaks Flooring. Peaks Flooring is one of the best flooring companies in the Metroplex. They've got 5 locations. And we're talking today about how to fix a distressed or outdated home and how to reposition that asset, that real estate asset, in the marketplace so we make sure you get your full retail price out of it. So what are we talking about? We're talking about how to make money in real estate. There's some simple key things that you need to do. And just like any other business in life, you need to have good people on your team. And so we've got 2 of those people in the studio today. And before the break, we started talking. I left the segment talking about Murph's going to share something from Peaks Flooring that's pretty interesting and just blew my mind when he was telling me about it, because I've been in houses where you walk in and maybe somebody prefers to cook with curry and you just have that smell when you walk in, or they've got several dogs, or maybe they're a smoker. Murph, what's new on the market? Can you share that with our listeners? I think it's pretty cool.
About 2 years ago, Beaulieu, which is, I guess, your number 3 mill behind Shaw and Mohawk, they came out with a product called, the carpet is called Bliss, but the product is treated with a property called Magic Fresh. And it's treated into the backing, it's treated into the fibers. It's actually baked into the carpet when they actually make it. And what that'll do is the carpet actually has an air filtration process. And when I first heard it, I thought, this is a bunch of junk. I need to see it. I need to see it work before it happens. Well, the first thing they said, throw a couple of these pieces in your car and somebody who's a smoker and see if it helps. Well, we did that with a guy that smoked around in the office there, and it did work. So and then customers come in and they say, this is too good to be true, and it's same reaction I had. Anyway, I finally said to Beaulieu, I'll try it out and see if it works. I've got 3 dogs. On a rainy day, it gets kind of doggy smelling in the house, and things like that. Well, we put area rugs instead of putting wall to wall. I have wood everywhere, but I put it down area rugs. And sure enough, within a day, that smell was gone.
Wow.
And it continues up that way, and it's great for smokers, great for animals. It does really get rid of cat urine smells, too, which is probably the worst one that all of us deal with. And it works for years. It continually filters the air. It's not a cheap option. It's not the cheapest option you've got out there, but if you've got a house with that problem, you can apply that to that problem, and you've solved that. So
what
you can sell it.
Percentage higher price would that product be versus a normal carpet?
Well, I mean, if you're looking at a 25 ounce, it's probably 10 to 15% more than regular
That's
carpet.
Not bad. I mean, my son, he had asthma and allergies and things like that, and we put in a special pad at that time that was sealed or something like that, so that it would knock down the allergies in the house.
Yeah, and literally this carpet too is if let's say an animal urinates on the carpet, it actually works to kill the smell out of that. And the other plus on this too is it will not stain. The urine will come out under regular cleaning.
Wow! So
what they're coming out nowadays in my market is just amazing.
You never realize it until you think about it or you're in the business. But the biggest filter in your house is your carpet.
Really? So Phil, do you run into that where you walk into and you're helping an investor look at a property? And we didn't get into the whole consultation part yet of what you do with investors out there. So maybe that can tie into what Phil's.
Well, what we'll do is an investor targets a property that he wants to acquire. We'll go out, take a look at the property, and just walk it from front to back. And we look at the structure, we look at the cosmetics, we look at the neighborhood, we look at the whole package to see if it's a property that, has some profit potential in it. All properties have potential. Does it have enough profit for the risk that you're going to take? And those are things that, when we get to see a property, we usually don't have utilities on. It's usually cold outside. It's usually all those. So things, like smell, like looking around, that's what we have. We've got big, powerful flashlights and eyes and years of experience is about all that we have, and even worse, we can't poke a hole in the wall to see what's there. So we have to use things like Murph was talking about with the thermal imaging and things like that, because you just can't tell everything. You have to kind of go on the fly, and that's the risk part of on the investor side. Sometimes that's where you need your team to help you minimize all your risks. So
I'm the type of person where I'm a money guy. I'm not really a design guy or anything like that. I would totally try to find experts that would take that piece over for me, delegate it to them, and let them go with it. Well,
thankfully, I'm the construction guy and the design guy, but I don't do the money stuff.
Well, let's get into how to build value into a property. We're getting ready to flip it. We're going to talk about let's just say I buy a $50,000 house. I'm going to put $20,000 in it. I'm hoping to sell it for over $100,000, slightly over it. That seems to be there's a big activity. Are you seeing a lot in that?
There's a ton of activity in that range right now.
Okay, so what do you do with them? What are the key things that you would do to say, here's what's going to make you successful with this?
The first thing that always needs to be done to every house is new flooring and new paint. You have to have a clean, fresh product. One of the good things to do, especially as a new investor, go look at properties that are flip properties that you're going to comp against. See what your competition is, know what they're doing, and make sure you do it just a little bit better.
In that market.
In that comp area. I mean, in that specific neighborhood, if at all possible. But in that area,
within
go look
a half-mile radius, I always say.
Correct. So, and then get in, and you're going to want to do exactly what they did, just a little bit better. If they put lights in every room, you'll put a fan in every room. You don't have to go crazy. That's where I was saying you need to spend your money wisely and know your comps. One of the big problems or mistakes that especially new investors will make is they will forget that this isn't their house to live in. This is their house to reposition. They need to look at it not as the colors they like, not as the materials they like, not as the design they would choose, but as an investment. So a house we're trying to turn.
What's going to help it sell?
Exactly. I had a 20-minute conversation with an investor the other day about where people were going to put their garbage can in the kitchen. That doesn't matter for us to sell the house. We need to worry about the countertops, the cabinets, the floors, those type of things. Another big thing that investors need to do that we'd already talked about is make a plan on the property. Decide what you're going to do and do that. Sometimes you get into the process, it's exciting, you saw it rip down, now it's coming back together, and decide, I want to change this or change that or add this. That's adding cost and lowering profit. So once you have a plan, you have the right plan.
Stick to your budget.
Stick to your budget, stick to your plan. This is actually a fairly simple business model. The complication is in the execution. So we need to keep it simple. Come up again with your plan and stick to it. And then the last thing you need to do is you need to make sure that you're checking on the progress of your rehab, making sure you're, knowing what's going on without micromanaging it. That's where you're hiring a contractor like myself, Murph to come in and do floors. Whoever you're having do, you're spending a lot of money and giving a lot of confidence. You definitely need to be involved in the process and check on it, but micromanaging slows everything down, and speed is what makes you more money in this business. Every day that you spend rehabbing is one less day on the market for that perfect buyer, or $40 in rental income you lost.
Well, if you've just tuned in, you're listening to Real Talk Texas. We're talking about how to make money in real estate today, and we've got Phil Loesch of Make Ready Specialist, and we've got Murphy Dykes of Peaks Flooring in the studio today to talk about what they do as part of an investor's team to make sure that they're making money. And so if you're listening out there, I want you to grab your cell phone real quick. If you're really thinking about you need some help, you need some team members on your team, or maybe you need financing for a home, I want you to send a text to this number, 817-925-2546. That's 817-925-2546. Just text the word flooring, fix, or financing. So one of the three of us will be back in touch with you. We'd love to be part of your team to make sure that you're making the right financial moves, the right, repositioning moves, where you're putting your money into. My brother-in-law has used Phil, and he did a great job to make sure that he didn't overspend. You were in and out in the time frame that he asked, and on those shows, that's always seems to be, something went wrong with the project. Now add another mortgage payment to it, and that can be very expensive, and it takes right out of the profit. So time in and out, those things are very, very important. So if you want to stay tuned, please do. We're going to talk about what we think is going to happen in 2013. If you're a homeowner and you're thinking about selling this spring, you really, really want to listen in, because we're going to talk about what are the things that you should do, and more importantly, what are the things you shouldn't do as you get your house updated and ready to go on the market this spring. So we're getting in, it's January, we're getting into that time frame where people are starting to think about, well, maybe I'd like to move, maybe I'd like to sell my house. It is a seller's market. There's no better time because interest rates are at a record low. Values out there are great for buyers, but they are also starting to go back up. There's less competition when you're listing your house. These guys are going to share with you what to do to make sure it sells quickly and for full retail value or full market value. So stay tuned. You're listening to Real Talk Texas on KLIF 570.